Jumped up another 30 people this year. I mean, we went from 45 to 90 to 125. How exciting is that, right? And this is quite the industry. I have to say, I've been in it myself for about 40 years, so I'm going to age myself, and I'm really short too. And I have found that it doesn't matter how much you know about any industry, and especially this industry, you have to keep evolving. So therefore, I think that's why we find that this food expo, and as we go into restaurant week, which you're going to hear about also, it grows every year for the fact that that need for information and the food industry isn't going away. And so we want to be here to support you every year. So this is really, really exciting for us. So on this intro, what I'm going to tell you today is that every year new things happen. It's hard to keep abreast of all those things. So that's another part of our job. As part of the Lake and Mendocino County SBDC, we are here with a bunch of people to support you through learning these things every year. So today you're going to be listening to Clarissa, who's going to talk about HR, and that's always a favorite. Actually, it's not a favorite until you actually need it, right? That comes along with also having money that we always need and knowing the different options that are out there. So formerly known as Arcata Economic Development Services and Center. It is now NorthEdge, and you're going to have a former mayor here to talk to you about it. She loves that I say that. And then our third group, environmental health, everybody's absolute favorite, who you want knocking on your door, and you always feel like you've done something wrong, but they're going to make you feel like you haven't. So that team is here too to support you today. So to take you into it, here is Clarissa. And I tried to write out this really amazing description about her. And I don't know how good I did, but she said that she's been advising small businesses in Lake County for going on 2 years, has a nonprofit background of at least 15 years of experience, including nonprofit work, and she's lived in Lake County for 5 years, and she's pretty fantastic. So welcome, Clarissa. Say your last name.
Hernlund.
How do you say that? Hernlund.
Hello, everyone. I am Clarissa Hernlund, and I am an SBDC advisor. So I'm going to get us kicked off with, as we've talked about, the most exciting topic, which is how to navigate new employment laws. But we're also going to talk about some solutions for the small businesses in this specific industry, because just because you have the law, now what do you do with it? How can you work through it? And so that's what we're going to chat about today. So how many of you in the room, just raise a hand, already have an established business? Awesome. And how many of you have just started, maybe haven't made anything yet? Awesome. And how many of you are getting ready to get started or thinking about it, trying to figure out if that's what you want to do? Awesome. So we got a really great mix. Okay, great. So first of all, the overview that I have is for the new California laws that are specific to us here in this county. So minimum wage was increased to $16.50 an hour, and that's statewide. And with that also, we have new regulations on anti-discrimination and workplace transparency, and then additional requirements for freelance work contractors and paid family leave. So what does that mean? So first, the state minimum wage is going to impact every industry, including yours, right? Because now you've got to pay everyone just a little bit more. The California has expanded the anti-discrimination laws to include intersectionality, which just means that they're addressing combined forms of discrimination based on characteristics like race and gender. So they're basically bundling it all in one, so you have less to kind of think about how you need to take care of your employees. And then also for those hiring freelancers, 1099 contractors, if you have them, written contracts are now going to be required for jobs that are over $600. So make sure that you are putting all of your contracts in writing if it's going to be something you're paying over $600. And then finally, employers can no longer require employees to use their vacation leave before accessing their paid family leave. So these laws now aim to support workers, but they can also create operational hurdles for small businesses, because now you've got to find someone to cover them, right? All right. So overtime rule has been updated. One significant federal change is the overtime rule. So while the threshold currently sits at $35,568,000 annually, proposed rules could raise it significantly in the future. And small businesses must track these developments to ensure that they're staying compliant. So, make sure if you have someone who is on overtime that you're actually paying them, you're documenting it, because the last thing you want is someone to go and complain against you and say that you owe them wages that you didn't pay out, because now you're going to have additional fees on top of that for not paying them appropriately. And so failure to properly compensate employees who work overtime could lead to costly penalties for you. Planning now to adopt payroll practices is a very smart step. So the family leave expansion is another important change, and that falls under the Family and Medical Leave Act. Starting this year, part-time employees who have worked for 12 months are now eligible for unpaid job-protected leave. This ensures more workers have access to critical family and medical leave protections, and employers should review their leave policies and update employee handbooks accordingly to reflect these changes. So, if you have someone that's going to be accessing their family medical leave, just remember it includes part-timers now too. Before it was just full-timers. Workplace Safety Act. So this introduces stricter safety standards and reporting obligations. OSHA now requires businesses to submit detailed workplace injury reports electronically each quarter. This aims to create a safer workplace and hold employers accountable for maintaining high standard in safety. Small businesses who assess their current safety policies and assure that the compliance with these enhanced protocols. And I know everyone loves OSHA, right? Okay, so there is a new exciting program that's for creating apprenticeships, and this is to address the workforce shortages. So the federal government has launched this new program, and this provides tax credits for up to $10,000 per apprentice to businesses that establish registered apprenticeship programs. The funds are distributed in stages to encourage program completion, and this is an excellent opportunity to invest in workforce development while benefiting from financial incentives. So if that's something you think that you'd like to bring onto your business, how many people, look at the campus we're on, right? We have many students that are looking to learn the business, and maybe this apprenticeship program will be right for your business. You gain a worker, you get a tax credit, and you help grow someone.
That 10,000 is a tax credit.
Correct. Okay, another incentive program is a green workplace, and this sustainability is increasing vitally for the business, and with the Green Workplace Incentive Act supports this trend. So companies can earn more tax credits for implementing eco-friendly practices like upgrading to energy efficient systems or improving waste management. Beyond the financial benefits, this aligns your business with consumer preferences and environmentally conscious companies. Keep in mind this may not be achievable when you're starting out or even if you're an established business, but it's a goal that you can set and work up to for when you're ready. So now let's talk about the challenges. So the challenges of managing operational costs while maintaining profitability, retaining staff reduced hours and raising prices, balancing the compliance with complex and evolving regulations, and maintaining customer loyalty with increased menu prices. So we're going to talk through how we can combat those. So here's how you address these challenges. Start with streamlining your operations. Simple tools like inventory management, software, or scheduling apps can make a big difference. For pricing, transparency is key. Educate customers on why changes are necessary and emphasize quality. Tap into available tax credits and grants. These are designed to support small businesses like yours. And finally, retain employees by offering non-monetary benefits like flexible scheduling or professional development opportunities, because a happy team is a productive team. And I think that, Joaquin really talked about how to create a really awesome team. And those are free things that you can use to maintain, your workforce. So diversifying revenue streams is an excellent way to stay resilient. Consider offering catering or delivery services because these options tap into new customer bases. And I think we can all agree that's something we would love to add to this county, right? Have the ability to send the food to somebody's home. Partner with local events or businesses can also boost visibility and sales. And don't overlook merchandise sales. Branded items like mugs or apparel not only generate income, but also serve as a marketing tool. Optimize your menu offerings is also another powerful tool. Focus on high margin items, those that bring in the most profit. Trim low performing dishes to streamline operations. Seasonal specials create excitement and keep customers coming back. And lastly, better inventory management can reduce waste, saving you money and improving sustainability. So, yes, you're going to pay more to have your employees, but these are different ways that you can either, create that balance to still be profitable with these changes. Marketing and community engagement. So this is crucial. This is critical. Use social media to connect with local audience, share stories, promotions, and behind-the-scenes content. Local programs like punch cards or discounts for frequent diners can boost repeat business. And get involved in the community through sponsorship or events. This builds goodwill and strengthens your brand. But also, don't forget about local business collaborations. These can be free to your bottom dollar because you each bring something to the table with the goal of generating revenue together by sharing to each of your followers and the audiences. So finally, we have, do your due diligence. Have your financial resilience in planning. So create contingency budgets for rising costs, research group purchasing organizations to lower supply costs, and seek advice from financial professionals, which we'll hear from later. So you're in the right place. So to recap, make sure that you're conducting an operational audit, evaluate automation and menu optimization options, engage with your industry associates and resources for advocacy. That could be talking to a competitor, see what they're doing. What's working for them could work for you. Develop your financial plan and, of course, schedule a meeting with an SBDC advisor. If it's not me, we have access to many others that could assist you as well. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Well, that was perfect. The important thing to know about that too is HR is a foundational start. A lot of times HR starts after a business has begun, and it's hard to learn all these things at once. So that's why it's important to go ahead and always familiarize yourself with all of these different areas, right? A lot of times, no matter where you are in your business, we tend to forget about the other things and just keeping the business running, but your employees are the huge part of your business. And as you noted that, they are the foundation. So a lot of the things that are talked about today, you will realize that we are always thinking about dollars and cents and all of these other mechanics and things like that. But it really does start with you and having that communication and starting the business with that foundation. And when you're talking through those things, all the other things come along because you're doing that. So HR is a huge part of that. It's something not to be afraid of. And it's the same way that goes when you're asking for additional funds, economic resources to keep developing your businesses. And also when we talk with health department later, you will see that it's all about actually having the communication, talking about the things that you need. And once that's opened up, everything just kind of comes naturally. It leaves you not afraid to have the conversation. And there is also a handout, if you look in your folders that you have, that will go through some of the things that we were talking about today. So Carissa's got one in there. And by the way, Carissa does some of our HR advising through the SBDC. And it's great to have her. So we appreciate having her on the team. The next thing that's coming up is we're going to be talking to, or Susan's going to be talking to us from NorthEdge's, how do I say that? NorthEdge, yes. And earlier you heard me mention that it was Arcata Economic Development Services Center. Is that correct? Corporation, and so now it's NorthEdge, and it actually takes a lot away the EDCs that you kept hearing and getting confused. So, Susan?
So my name is Susan. I am from Humboldt County, where I was the mayor of Eureka, but I am no longer. It was a great job. I have been with what is now called NorthEdge for 17 years. It'll be 18 years next year. And I brought forth changing our name, mostly because we've really wanted to, we've always served 6 counties, well, not always, but as long as I've been there: Humboldt, Del Norte, Mendocino, Lake, Siskiyou, and Trinity counties. And so when you hear Arcata Economic Development Corporation, it's probably pretty hard to see yourself in that, right? And yet, Lake County is as much part of our region as anywhere else. However, I was the one who brought forth potentially doing a name change. It took all the time. I am also the worst about forgetting to say NorthEdge and saying AEDC. So we're going to have a little game today while I'm talking. It's only 10 minutes. And Hannah back there has a stack full of quarters. And every time I say AEDC, whoever raises their hand the first gets a quarter. So we are NorthEdge Small Business and Community Development. That's our tagline because that's what we do. We have worked with small businesses for 40 some odd years in this larger region. And in the last dozen years or so, we've really been doing a lot of those bigger community development projects. And so I want to talk a little bit about what's going to be new with Humboldt this year, or with NorthEdge. And I wanted to get a sense of the room. I know we asked before who here owns businesses, who here is starting a business, who here has financed a business before? All right, not a lot. Anybody thought about financing a business, or anybody just think they might either need money now or in the future, and what do they have to do to prepare for that? Yeah, excellent. So we are NorthEdge. We're located in Humboldt. Back there is Stacy. She's with an organization called EDFC over in Mendocino. They do the same kind of work that we do. And you've probably worked with Andy or Jeff Lucas, who will help you find us or if you actually need financing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's new with where we are, and in that I'll try to thread some of the things that we do so that you have some context for it. So what is new this year? We don't have this, like the kind of things that come down for us that would be new policies won't affect you guys at all. The fact that we have more money coming from the state through something called CCCI, don't ask me to tell you what it stands for, will not mean anything to you. It just means that we have access to more funding so that when you come in, we have more choices of how to fund you. So a lot of times folks will come in and they'll say, you know, I heard that there was this new loan from the USDA. Can I get that? And we're like, get that out of your head. Just tell us what you need and we'll figure out which pots of funds will work. So you do not have to become an expert on funding. You just have to know what it is that you want. The other thing that we like to tell people is that when you come in, we used to call it a banking triangle, and we still do. So you may have a project that you want to start, you want to get funded. Say you're a brand new business and you go to a bank. Traditional lenders don't do a lot of startup financing, so they might say, your business plan is great, we're going to send you over to NorthEdge, you almost got a quarter, or EDFC, or they might say, oh, your business plan needs work, we're going to send you back over to SBDC so you can work on that, strengthen it up to get ready to go get funding from somebody else. You might be an experienced restaurant owner, and then you'll want to go, say you come to us and we'll say, oh, you're established and this is a really great plan, it looks like you're totally fundable. It's probably better terms if you go to a bank. So we all work together and we make sure that you get to the right door. Now I like to say we can do you can get squares and pentagons, because you might have a project and we say, oh, we're going to work with EDFC, pool our money together so that we have enough money to fund it. And so it's really fun. But if you go to any one of us, we should be able to send you to the right person to go to. And so that's part of what we do. Part of the stuff is the new funding. We also have funding from a place called Cal Wellness that they look at funding more of the community development projects. Also, so Hannah back there, wave again with the quarters. She is one of our loan officers. She is our expert on loan officering. This is our executive director right here. Ross, we've been saying that you were a banker for 30 years. For now, 30 plus 16 if you count the time he's been here. So he's been doing...
Don't fart, he's not allowed to talk, right?
And so he is very skilled and he has a lot to say. And we are starting a new project this year that, because Ross is always keeping his eyes out for great new opportunities, we are something called a community development financial institution. That means that we are funded to do work in communities that might be underfunded otherwise, like Lake County, or our whole region is pretty much underfunded. You might feel that occasionally. And they have a lot of money for something called a Clean Communities Investment Accelerator. We have access to, or potentially $10 million for loans. When Clarissa was talking the last time, she mentioned there's a taxpayer credit for energy efficiency staffing. Well, the funding that's coming down through the CCIA, Clean Communities Investment Accelerator, can also help you get started. So if you have a business and you want to go solar, your refrigeration's really expensive, running all of the energy is really expensive, you could get a CCIA loan, which we don't have all the details yet, but it'll be good terms for the loan. That's our goal, is we want to make sure that these projects are happening. And then that can help you get your tax incentives. And then it also gets your energy bill down. So as other expenses are going up, investing a little bit in your energy and being able to keep those prices down is one way that you can kind of look at that long-term savings. We're really excited about it. I would love to tell you a ton about it, but we're still just developing the program. But if you want to talk to the person who has the most information, Hannah will be tabling, and you can ask her about that. Another thing that's happening with us is not so much restaurant-centered, but we are the fiscal administrators for something called Redwood Region Rise. Redwood Region Rise is a state economic development initiative, and they have granted this region, which is Humboldt, Del Norte, Mendocino, and Lake County, $9 million for pre-development projects in our area. The RFP is closed, so all of the grants have been submitted, but there is a definite effort to make sure that all of the counties in the region are served. So if Lake County submitted grants for community development projects, we hope that you get to see some of that money come here and help support you in some way. Maybe it's through workforce development, maybe it's through supporting some of your industries. So we're hoping that you guys get something good and meaningful out of this. And what we do is just pay the bills and deal with the state. So you're welcome for that. That is no easy task. The other thing I wanted to mention is that we have worked with Nicole, who obviously knows how to put together a killer event, for several years on what we call the Redwood Region Economic Development Summit. We've been moving that summit around from county to county. We had it in Mendocino. We've had it in Humboldt County. Next year in October, we will be having it here in Lake County. So if you're a business owner or you're a business resource professional, this is going to be the happening place. We're very excited to start planning that. So those are some of the new things that are happening. And in terms of financing and the questions that you have, I imagine that's probably where we're going to get to when we're done with this. And please feel free to ask anything. And if I can't answer it, we do have all of the other experts here to do that. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Just as a quick reminder, anything that you've heard today from anybody, you can stay after and ask questions, and it's going all day, so don't feel like you need to get up and leave, because we know there's a lot of information that's been shared. So you've heard now about HR, you've heard more about some of the different things that go on through community development funding sources as well. And then the next thing is we get into the squeaky clean of it, right? And then we go into environmental health. And I'm here to tell you why all these things seem so serious, and I kind of said that to you earlier. The thing is, they're really great to learn. And they actually become enjoyable. I had a restaurant for many years, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, do I actually call the labor board? Because if they think I don't know the answers, they're going to think I don't know how to run my business. Dispel all of that, please, right? Dispel the things about HR, dispel the things about going up to Susan and saying, does my credit look good enough? Are there things for me? Like, don't be afraid to ask those questions, because that's the things that usually get you behind and not forward. And I remember learning some of those valuable lessons. So I'm going to hand this over to 2 of the 4. They have a spokesperson that they've kind of nominated for today. But the health department's going to share some of the new things that are coming out this year. And then they'll kind of lead you into some fun areas that you didn't think were going to be that fun. So, and this is Lake County Health Department.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. And I just wanted to do a thank you for acknowledging us and allowing us to become a partner. I know everybody's afraid of us. Once again, this is just one of the gifts that we have, and we would like to be a partner. And it makes us, we're all human. And I don't know, I want our operators and owner to be able to come and talk to us if they have questions, to be able to contact our office and ask questions. Vince is up here also, just in case I faint. I hate public speaking. I love one-to-one. I like shine out the brightest, but when it comes to one-on-one, it's like that's my thing. But some of the things that's happening is, wanted to introduce Vince. He was able to bring our food safety certification managers class here in Lake County. For the longest time, our operators and stuff was having issues obtaining class, especially for the certification for the manager, which is good 5 years. Now we offer it at our office, but we use different agencies. He's going to talk a little bit about that, and I see Miss Priscilla back there. She's also from our office, my wonderful coworker, and we are pleased to have her. She does do a lot of translations for us in Spanish, so we try to cater to our other clients also if we can. We try to reach out for different resources. Ms. Cheryl, we're happy to have her back. She took off and then came back during the COVID to take care of her family, but we're so pleased to have her back. And sorry that Craig couldn't be here. Craig Wetherbee is our environmental health director, so that's why we're here. He should be up here. But some of the updates that we're looking for, especially for the restaurant section, is a lot of the industry, especially the restaurant, they wanted the storefront where you go out and be able to have like a display and have food outside. So one of the exciting bills that came out, it's actually a Senate bill, 972, which is the compacted mobile food operation. And so under that definition, I didn't have it memorized, so I'm going to read it to you guys, which allows them to do that. What is a compacted mobile food operation, or a CFO? It's a mobile food facility that operates from an individual or from a push cart, stand, display, pedal-driven cart, wagon, showcase, racks, or other non-motorized, unenclosed convenience that can be approved to sell packaged food or conduct limited food preparation. So I think most of our restaurants wanted to do like maybe at lunchtime when they get busy, like a setup or like a buffet tile if you want to make tacos or something like that. However, it does require a separate permit from our office. So contact our office, and it does require a plan check. The reason why is we want to make sure that certain stuff is in operations. For example, hand washing, which is very important. Making sure that food are in proper temperature if you're going to store it outside. Enclosure to ensure that People are not going to be sneezing on the food or bird droppings from the air. So flies, we have other requirements that we have. The other one that we're so excited about is the micro home enterprise kitchen. This is where it's almost like a full-blown restaurant. You could cook at home. But this year, very exciting is that we were able to get some money from the state, which is the California Department of Public Health, that offers us some money. So anybody who wants to apply, the plan check is free. The first year until June 30th of 2025 is when the money runs out or the grants is over, is you could get your permit till that time. So we're excited about that. The other thing is a lot of people doesn't really know this, but we do, all our inspector, we go out and do inspections. But there is where if you have questions in regards to you want to sit down and meet with us, we have 1 hour that's dedicated to you for free. So you could have all your questions, meet us face to face. We walk you through the whole process. Some other exciting things here that we have is FDA, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Food and Drug Administration, which is the FDA, the state, which is California Department of Public Health. We have always done our inspection when we go out to the food facilities, a risk-based inspection, meaning we look at for identified stuff that would cause a foodborne outbreak. And so what they're trying to do starting this year is to standardize everybody in California to FDA program standard number 2. So which means when you see us, anywhere you go in California, hopefully it should be consistent and standardized across the board. And it's all based on food operation, knowing the processes that happens in their facility, instead of looking at mainly more like walls, floors, ceilings. We're more looking for the processes that the operators and owner really knows what they're doing. Food temperature, cooling, cooking, reheating, so stuff that makes people sick if those violations are in place. Cottage food and micro enterprise home kitchen operation. Now, those people could be considered commissary, what related to the compacted mobile food facility. So you could store your push carts and stuff at that facility for up to 2 carts. So that's something new. I know a lot of mobile operators really wanted to store or are trying to find locations to store their vehicles and stuff. The other new things that's happening is SB, which is Senate Bill 68, major food allergens. We usually don't regulate it in the California Retail Food Code. That's the code that allows us to go out and do our inspections at food facility. They added the extra food allergens, and that's sesame. The previous ones were, we have milk, egg, soy, tree nuts. A lot of people don't realize this. Coconut is a tree nut, pecan, walnuts, peanuts, fish, shellfish, and wheat. 2 more items. The other one would be now if you have, if you see people around the county that sell whole produce, they do not require a permit from our office. Unless they cut the produce, then yes. Another thing that you want to look for, especially for businesses who wants grant money and stuff, is to actually, I'm not promoting FDA, but it is FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration. They do have programs that they will give you grants for example, if you need equipment to hold your food or something like, look into them and see they have different ways of giving grants with regards to food safety. And I'm going to give this phone to Vince.
Well done, Pack-A-Day. I thought for a minute they were going to do Penn and Teller there for a minute. I didn't know if I was going to speak or not. So one of the things she mentioned was, we are doing a second presentation in the next hour, and that's on how to start your business. How do you get a mobile food facility up and running? How do I get a permit for a restaurant? That we're going to cover that in our next presentation. So this was just what's new, what's in the news in food safety and in public health. I was just going to cover real quick that one of the requirements that she mentioned is each food facility has to have 2 forms of food safety certification. everybody handling food at a food facility in California has to have what's called the California Food Handler. That's a certificate that you get online for about $10 or less, and everyone working at your food facility has to have that. In addition to your California Food Handler, we have the kitchen manager exam she was mentioning, and it's been really hard for people in our community to get that because they can't always get the computer support. It seems they can take the course online, but they can't always take the exam online because it requires a certain amount of bandwidth. So people are really struggling. They'd call up and say, hey, where do I have to go to take my food safety exam? And say, oh, we're offering in Berkeley, which is a really long drive, of course. So we didn't really have it offered here in the area, so we started offering it. We have some handouts here on that if you're interested on the classes we'll be offering here in a couple months. And for the first time ever, as Packaday mentioned, you haven't had any way for people that speak Spanish to be able to take the exam, and they didn't always get the support they needed. So we're offering, for the first time ever in Lake County, a kitchen manager exam in Spanish, and that's going to be in a couple weeks in February on the 10th. So that's exciting news for us, and like I said, we have some handouts here if you're interested in that. So that was sort of the new thing that I wanted to cover, is that we're making that exam, the kitchen manager's exam, and coursework available to you if you want to come and learn in the class or show up in the afternoon and take the exam. So that's something we're providing. So that's about it. Today's little topic was just what's new, and of course we're going to go to the other classroom 150 or something in another hour and talk about if you're interested in finding out what you can do to get a permit to operate a retail food facility. Okay? Thank you.
Oh, one more item. I did bring, or our office did bring a whole bunch of handouts and stuff later if you guys want to. Sorry, I forgot to mention that we did bring handouts. Some of the stuff that might be important to our operators and owners are food temperature logs. We have different ones for cooling, hot holding, cooking, transporting. Those temperature logs are really important. When we have a foodborne investigation or a waterborne investigation, it actually helps us to track back and ensure that you're keeping proper temperature. So one of the things that we could eliminate is that, oh, it's not this because they held the food at the right temperature. It's not the cooking temperature because this is what they have. And so it has the date, name, equipment, what process you're doing, and what temperature you're cooking it to.
We have a question.
You're going to have to repeat the question.
Right.
What do you do about recalls on? What do you do about recalls that you have on that produce that you're saying that you don't need a permit for, that's sold on the street?
With regards to the recall itself, actually the ag commissioner is the one that actually oversees any produce. Like for us, they don't require a permit in regards to because it's uncut. However, if there is a recall, what do you do with that produce? Based on what we have done before, like any other investigation or foodborne, we will probably actually drive around the whole county and try to spot them and then ask. But usually most of the produce that we have, based on what the exemptions are, we really don't have jurisdiction in regards to what we need to do, but we will do our best effort to reach out and then take care of the issues. So I hope that helps.
And then I was going to try and open up some dialogue just to make sure everybody knows who to connect with when you need assistance. So Clarissa, if somebody used to need HR assistance, they can come to you directly to your office and through the SBDC, or what's the best way to get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is through SBDC, or the Lake Economic Development Center. So that's how you can find me. And if you need to make that connection or with any advisor, you can reach out to me today or beyond and we can get you connected.
Perfect. Thank you. And for NorthEdge, what are some of the best ways and what would you suggest if somebody's looking for money or looking into some of the services that you offer?
So I'm really glad you asked this question. It's something else that's new. It was really hard to think of new things. We now have an online application, which is really nice. So you can go to our website, which is northedgefinancing.org, and you can learn a lot on there. In fact, there's the great, wonderful FAQ for lending. written mostly by Hannah, that will answer so many questions that you don't get most places about how to prepare for your loan, what to expect through the whole process. So I highly recommend, whether you're going to finance through us or through anybody else, it's a great resource. NorthEdgeFinancing.org.
And then last, when it comes to health department questions, it's important to know, where do I go to? Who do I ask? Do I go online? So what are some of the top suggestions that you could offer about how somebody would come to speak to the health department?
You could do all three, actually. You could, usually when we go out in the field to the restaurants to do inspections and stuff, we'll get tagged on that too, or community events. They'll see us, they'll call or ask. But you could email, and it's, we recommend that if you do email to our general question, which is environmentalhealth@lakecountyca.gov. That way it goes to our front staff, and then they'll route the question to us. Usually what happens, if we're out in the field or we could call out on an emergency, if they email directly to us, we might not even get to see it, depending if we come back to the office in time or not. If you want to call us, it's 707-263-1164. And once again, it routes through our front office, because what happens is, if we have questions in a particular, if they have questions on a particular food files or anything like that, our front office will pull the file and ensure that they give us, and then we could read our file logs and see what's going on, especially when we're going through plan check, because there's processes involved that if we looked at the plans and we require more information, we'll generate what we call a plan check letter requesting for more information on there. We'll list all kinds of stuff that we need. So I think we cover that in person. You could come in, by email, and call.
Thank you. All right, and the last thing, if anybody has any questions, any additional questions? If not, we are going to be moving into that next session. If you've completed this short evaluation, please be sure to leave it, and we'll pick it up from